Welcome back to Just Livin'. Today we're at Lookout Mountain, Colorado, where the Great Plains meet the majestic Rocky Mountains. It was at this spot in 1917 that one of America's most famous personalities, a man named William Frederick Cody, was buried. That name doesn't ring a bell? That's probably because you would know him better as Buffalo Bill, American showman and Western legend. So join us as we learn more about the man and visit this American icon's gravesite. Born on February 26, 1846, in LeClaire, Iowa, no one could have imagined the strange path that life would take young Bill on, making him one of the most famous people in the world. Even today, over 100 years after his death, he is still a household name. In 1853, his father, Isaac Cody, moved the family to Fort Leavenworth, Kansas, which in the years before the Civil War was a hot spot for political disagreements over the question of slavery. One day Isaac, who was against slavery, was asked to give a speech. His anti-slavery talk so angered the crowd that they threatened to kill him if he kept talking. Suddenly, a man from the crowd jumped onto the stage and stabbed Isaac twice with a bowie knife. Isaac, for the safety of himself and his family, left Kansas to recover from his injuries. Several years later, Isaac tried to return to Fort Leavenworth to see his family, but his enemies learned about his return and plotted to kill him. Young Bill heard about their plan to kill his father, so he rode 30 miles on horseback to warn him. On the way back to Cleveland, Ohio, Isaac caught a respiratory infection, coupled with the still lingering effects of the stabbing, led to his death at the age of 45. At the tender age of 11, William became the head of the household and needed to help his mother provide for his two sisters, aged 4 and 7, as well as his 2-year-old younger brother. This tragedy led Bill to becoming a hard worker and led him on the path to becoming Buffalo Bill. One of his first jobs was as a scout for the U.S. Army. It was here that he would become an Indian fighter, protecting the new settlers from Indian attacks. When he turned 14, Bill became a 59er and was heading to the gold fields of Colorado when he met a recruiter for the Pony Express, where he would work until the start of the Civil War. With the start of the war, Bill tried to enlist, but was refused due to his young age. He instead worked for a freight hauling company that supplied Fort Laramie in Wyoming. When the war ended, he would again become a scout for the U.S. Army, being attached to Lieutenant Colonel George Armstrong Custer's company. Luckily for Bill, in 1867, he was transferred by the Army to become a hunter to supply meat for the hundreds of workers building the Transcontinental Railroad. Otherwise, he might have died in the Battle of Little Bighorn. It was this little twist of fate that would lead young Bill into becoming Buffalo Bill. It was claimed that Bill killed 4,282 buffalo in 18 months while working for the railroad. This led to some of the workers calling him Buffalo Bill. However, there was also another hunter working to supply meat named William Comstock, who was also nicknamed Buffalo Bill due to his hunting skills. To settle this argument, they both agreed to have an 8-hour competition to see who could kill the most buffalo. Even though Comstock used a fast-shooting Henry repeating rifle, while Cody used a single-shot Springfield Model 1866, Cody won the match, killing 68 animals to Comstock's 48. For the rest of his life, he would be known as Buffalo Bill Cody. Due to the publicity the shooting match received, a writer named Ned Buntline would publish a book entitled Buffalo Bill, King of the Bordermen, that would become a bestseller. Although most of the stories in the book were made up by Ned, Buffalo Bill became a household name at just 23 years of age. This book was then adapted into the hit play Buffalo Bill. Initially, Bill was portrayed by actor J.B. Studley, but after seeing the play, Cody asked to play the role himself. This was the start of Bill's career as a showman, and would eventually lead to his touring show, Buffalo Bill's Wild West. He even hired his old friend, Wild Bill Hickok, to perform. But he hated acting, and during one performance shot at the spotlight that had focused on him. Thus ended Wild Bill's time in the spotlight. As his Wild West shows became more popular, Cody was able to hire more well-known figures from the Old West to perform. They included Annie Oakley, Calamity Jane, and Indian Chief Sitting Bull. Due to the novelty of the Old West, people in Europe eagerly followed any news about Buffalo Bill and his shows, leading him to be invited to perform for the Golden Jubilee of Queen Victoria. The Queen enjoyed the show so much that she invited Europe's royalty to see a command performance in 1887. At 41 years old, Buffalo Bill is now the most recognized celebrity on Earth. Cody died on January 10th, 1917, and is buried here in accordance to his wishes. He had always told his wife that he loved the views here, and you can see why. The views are amazing. That's Golden, Colorado below us, with the Coors Brewery in the distance. From here, you can see the vastness of the Great Plains, where Buffalo Bill became a legend. As a much-beloved American icon, the streets of Denver overflowed with people grieving his passing. Even today, his legacy lives on. Rest in peace, Buffalo Bill.